How directive is a coach? How much does he or she insist on the client following a certain direction? Let's talk about it. Welcome to another episode of Top You. I am talking today with awareness coach Anna Dannfeld from France. I am Claudia Cimenti, professional coach and founder of Topcoach Luxembourg from Luxembourg. Today we are going to talk about how directive is a coach. Do we insist to go a certain direction? If not, what are the things to maybe keep in mind, and what could you expect as a client? Anna and I have got into the habit of keeping the Zoom recording running while we're discussing. We never really know where the discussion might lead, and that was actually the case as well for this particular excerpt. We did not plan on talking about this, it just came to be. So as such, we hope that it nevertheless provides value, and please excuse the slightly abrupt start and ending of this exchange. I hope you enjoy. Take care.
A lot of the changes happen between the sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the first session, not so much happened during the sessions, but all these, there was a rewiring that started happening, triggers, points, and that's going to happen at home during sleep, when monkey
In
brain
the shower,
is
yeah.
in the shower, in the bath, while you're listening to music, doing the dishes, all of this. And then when they come back, you'd see that they're in a totally different place. So there's so much more in it, and just because when we're working with somebody, right? If they come with a problem, either you're a coach or a therapist, they're coming with a faulty wiring in the brain, right? So it needs to be rewired. In my case, it's very obvious because it's a real, honest to God, physical rewiring that happens in the brain when you hurt a child and they live their entire life with PTSD and chaos in the brain and nerve ends that are shot and stone. It's all loads of pictures of that, So that's really easy to see that, yeah, it is like this, and that needs to be rewired, as it were. But even with other things that maybe not necessarily emotional, but not getting past something, is also rewiring. You sing the same song all the time, that I can't do this. It's like you say, if you keep saying I can't do, no, you can't. It's impossible. You can't. You have to rewire that.
You can't. Whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, in both cases, you're right. It's true. It's absolutely true. And I think this integration of the insights, these changes over time in the mindset that happens between sessions is exactly why I consider myself an empty page coach. I actually do not even go back and read any notes. I don't really take notes when I coach. I don't have this whole big thing, because the person that was in front of me 2 weeks ago and the person who is in front of me today are very fundamentally different. I recall enough about the engagement to kind of position myself on the arc, right? But the details I let go of because the person is very different. They might also be in a very different energetic frame of mind today, right? They might, and so yes, I have my plans. Yes, I have my overall, and I call it the arc, right? It's this red line that we follow. The Germans call it der rote Faden, right? This red thread that kind of goes through the engagement. I kind of follow it, but loosely. And because it brings up a very interesting point about a question: how directive is coaching? How directive is coaching? And one of the tenets that's always taught in coaching, coaching education, is that you're responsible for the process. but you're not, as the coach, you're responsible for the process, but you're not responsible for the content. The content is the responsibility of the coachee. The person who comes is responsible for the content. Well, that kind of, is that's all nice and good, right? It's a nice theorem. But in practice, I think how directive coaching is ultimately then also a thing of personal philosophy for the coach. How directive are you? And how permissive are you? And I personally have come to the thing that, yes, I want to ultimately end up with this client somewhere, but I'm not forcing him along. I'm not forcing him along. We still go at the speed of the client. Imagine that you're like a mountain guide. You're a mountain guide. And you lead the way, but you lead at different speeds. You still want to climb that mountain or get to the nice vista, and so on. But sometimes you need to go slow because your client is exhausted or needs time to rest or needs time to digest things, right? You're still going up that mountain. You're still going up that mountain. But I do not want to be one of those coaches that said, we have 6 sessions and in today's session, we have to do this, whether you're ready or not. It's just not compatible with the way that I work.
But it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. It doesn't work for people. People are people. You can't force a person to be or do something that they're not. They have to, it takes the time it takes. And as you say, everybody has different speeds. And if you really want to reach success, like I found also when I've had clients that are maybe not so speedy, it takes a little bit longer. But at one point, they're like, boom. And it just happens because I agree with you. I'm the guide. I want to take them to the top of the mountain, and that's what they came for. So my job is to get them to the top of the mountain, no matter who they are, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Slow or fast, or
Right. And here I want to make the distinction, though, that does not mean this permissiveness and this going at their speed does not mean that I'm always nice and waiting. I ask the tough questions. I do push them along. I tell them, I think you're rested enough. Now let's get back on and move. Right. I mean, that is part of it, right? I mean, and I think that's the art of coaching. That's the art, knowing when to let them rest, knowing when to let them think, and knowing when to push. And it comes with experience, with truly being present, truly being with them, because coaching is an accompaniment. You're there with them. You walk the same way. It's not somebody on the top of the mountain saying, no, come up here, come on. That's not how it works. It's your wisdom every step of the way. And because you go into such a deep, personal, but safe relationship with these people, you're able to pick up on these very, very subtle cues to know when to let them be and to know when to push, right? So for me, it has always been rather clear. Sometimes I push a little bit and then I see from their reaction that it was not working. And then I say, okay, I think I pushed a little bit, my bad, take your time. I mean, I'm okay being vulnerable as a coach too. I mean, I don't have all the answers, right? But and I do not have their answers for sure.
Oh, that's
their answers for sure, because that's the whole holy grail of coaching, that clients find their own answers. Incidentally, that comes in with this whole being directive thing, doesn't it? Like, how directive are you with respect to their clients. What's your take on that?
That's totally, it's like you just said, I'm not very, I have to think about that. I have a direction, but I might not be extremely directive. It so depends on clients. I mean, my clients have been my best teachers, and I had thousands of clients through these decades, right? I learned. I wasn't this fantastic there. I was good when I was first starting out. That's why I always had so much work. But it got so honed because I really, truly, deeply care about my clients when they come. The moment I have them on the phone, I deeply care for them. And once they decide that we will work together, because I always open that door and say, you've got to be comfortable with me. We have to see if it's a fit. And then I follow them. I feel, okay, here I got to, like you said, being the person, pushy or not. I don't take notes. I have clients that I haven't seen for a year. The moment they walk into my door, I remember everything about them, how old they were when whatever happened, because I'm an elephant in here. And then I use that. I look at them, and I don't have a plan where I want them to go. They have somewhere they want to go. Sometimes they know it, sometimes they don't. I can only make sure that they get there doing whatever they need me to do for them. So I don't know if I'm directive or not. I think I like the mountain guide bit. I'm the guide, I'm the mountain guide. Sometimes you get to kick ass a little bit, and other times you just have to, stroke the cheek. Huh?
Yeah. Well, next to your memory of an elephant, I probably have the memory of a goldfish. It's not a bug. It's not a bug. It's a feature, because I think that it allows me to see truly fresh when people come back after a while. I truly see fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And that has its own advantages, right? I mean, I remember the broad strokes, but all the details I don't. And I think that it's very clear because they're not relevant anymore. No. Because that's why I always ask again, tell me again, what was it again? Do I understand this correctly? And it allows people through this retelling of their story, or the relevant bits anyway, to see how much they have come along.
Yes.
Right? To see that it is changing, to see, and so on. So I'm not assuming anything when I see people again, right?
I don't either. I use this story. I can say, for example, I can use things that they said. I said, how are you? And what's going on? I know one. It's just such a good example. It came to me, sleeping problems, headaches, blah, 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 right? And then some time passes, and every time they come, I start from zero. I know everything, but they don't know that I know everything because I never take notes, right? So I'm like, yeah, what's going on? I'm like, oh no, it's not so bad. I'm all good. And I sleep well, and I don't think I have so much problems. And then sometimes I can remind them of their story. I say, this is what you were dealing with when you came to me, and this is where you are now, because it's a space for congratulations. It's a space for because when people heal, they forget how it was, because the present is always the reality, and then they forget how bad it was. And I want my clients to have that sensation of success. And I say, okay, when you came to me, you had this and this and this and this problem, and now you say you don't have any problems. Congratulations, it's so amazing. And you did this. And they always say, oh, you saved my life and you helped me so much. And I say, no, I didn't. You did this. I cannot make you whatever do. You are doing it. I'm just here, like I'm a ball post, you can throw your ball at me and catch it and throw it and catch it. You did this. And this, I think, is the most important bit for me with my clients once we're moving along, to be able to for them to celebrate what they've done, because they always forget how bad it was.
Right. obviously the celebration presumes awareness. And I think that that is something, I think this whole, and you call yourself an awareness coach, but I think it's this mindfulness of the journey and where you're going, where you're going, but also the journey that you have done already is very, very important. And to celebrate the small things, to be grateful for whatever, and that is a big part of it. And so I really believe that whether you remember or you don't, I think that our gist is the same, and this importance that we attribute to the client becoming aware of their successful changes and their small steps, because it's all small steps in the end, but that ultimately then get to really large results. And to be able to know already that you're on the right path, it helps with motivation, and that's just the way it works, people. Okay. And
the celebration catapults you into even more. And
right.
It's a wonderful feeling.
And to stay, once you moved into solution space, please stay there. Okay, it's a good place to be rather than problem space. Okay, so it's there's where hope lives, and where the sun shines and all that kind of stuff. So that is very important. In terms of the being directive, here's one other bit of personal philosophy. I am directive as a coach, because when we, for instance, have an issue or a belief or whatever, when I am that mountain guide and I take people around the problem to look at it from very many different perspectives, right? I am directive. I ask questions. Have you thought about this? What about that? What else do we need to consider? I am directive, but where I'm not is that I'm not attached to the outcome.
Okay, I'm with you there. I'm totally with you there.
I am not attached to I'm directive in that I'm the guide, right? But I'm not attached to the outcome and to the decision that the client takes. The client is always able to make their own choice. Do it, don't do it. Do it to this extent and not that extent. And I think that is also the very big difference towards a consultant that says you have to do it this way, this much, and so on. I'm not attached to that. I am not attached to that. And so I do not give advice, but sometimes I do put up options out into the universe. Would this be something that rings true to you? What do you think about that? Have you considered this? Right? What about right? But then it's options. It's just, something to think about, and then you can go and adopt it or not. Either it resonates or not. And I'm not attached to it. I do not take it personally. It was just an option, and come up with other options. And ultimately, it's your responsibility to decide one way or the other.